Welcome to Book Club. My name is Lavasha,
And I'm Miss Quizzy.
and today we're discussing a television show.
Yep, so it's a little different than our usual thing, but I just love this show so much that I wanted to talk about it before season 3 comes out. And as you can see, this show is called From.
And it has, I don't know this actor's name. What is this actor's name?
Was he in Lost?
Yeah, he was on Lost as,
Uh-huh.
I think he played Michael.
And the same people who made Lost made this series, and you can kind of feel it sometimes. I feel like when you're watching the episodes. I didn't watch all of Lost to the conclusion, but you did?
Yeah, I did watch Lost, and I like the whole stuck in one place, and it is dystopian, but it's horror driven. Like no one would want to be in a place like this.
And this show is actually scary, in my opinion.
Yeah,
there are sometimes that like it's not like a jump scare. It's like you have this unease the entire time you're watching this series, and I love that so much because so many things labeled horror completely miss out on that. Okay, why we wanted to watch From in the first place.
Yeah, so honestly, I didn't really put a lot of thought into watching it. We were just trying to find something to watch while we were eating, because you always gotta watch something while you're eating.
Yeah, but I was just hanging out on Prime, and I saw it was like a similar clip to this one here.
Yeah, I had heard about From on Twitter. Like people were saying, "Don't let the show get canceled." So I was like, "All right, I'll check it out at some point."
Yeah, I had never heard of it. I went into it no thoughts.
Yeah. So when I saw the cover, I was like, "Hey, I was planning on watching this. Let's watch this show." And we started watching it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and we couldn't help but like anticipate watching the next episode, or at least watching 2 or 3 in one go. Okay, and what we first thought seeing the clip and some of the theories that we had when we first got into this show.
Yeah. One of the theories I had. Okay. So if you're familiar with the show, you know that they're like stuck in this town, and there are these creepy creatures around that look human, but they rip people apart.
Yeah, okay. And they like hang outside your doorway smiling, trying to talk you into letting them in, acting like they can't come in for some reason. We don't know why.
Yeah, honestly, like they put this talisman up that keeps them out, but I'm like, we know these creatures play games with people. Like it's said in the show that they play games with people. I'm like, does the talisman really keep them out, or are they gonna like be like, walk in one day and be like, haha, they never really kept us out?
Work. Because like the creepy smile factor, and like it just always feels like they're teasing you.
Yeah, but so we didn't really know what was going on at first, but one of the theories I had, what was one of the theories I had? I know we noted it down.
Let's see. Well, one of the ones I had was that they're trapped in a children's story or in a child's mind, because a lot of it kind of reads like you have to do this thing to beat the creature, like in a children's story. You have to find a talisman. You have to go on this quest.
Yeah, and like there's the thing where like you plug in a lamp and it works, but like there's no real wire. So it's like if a children was writing a story, they wouldn't really know how electricity works, so it's sort of like someone who doesn't know how electricity works just put this world together.
Yeah.
And and another thing was, one of my theories was that people arrive in this town in family units, and my theory was that there is an issue in the family unit, and that one member of the family subconsciously traps everybody else in the family in that town until they can work out whatever that issue is.
And if they can't work out the issue, they die. Like the first family that we saw, there was like an alcoholic, and then his wife and daughter were left alone. And Boyd had said, he's the sheriff, he said, you have to be home to protect your family. And because he wasn't, the little girl let a creature in that was pretending to be her grandma, and her and the mother died. Yeah, that's one of the first things that we saw. And another thing was later in the series, I think this is season 2, we found out that a lot of people who were trapped there were actually just about to make a really big change. Like they had either sold a company, they had finished paying off student loans, or they had just retired, and then they get trapped in this town. And I was like, is it like some kind of is this like a
transitionary period? Like what finish what you're saying?
Like, you know how when you make a big change, you're real scared to make that change, so even though you're happy about it. So so sometimes you can't move, or you want something that'll give you that roll back in some way, because the guy who sold his company, he was like this really smart guy. And in this town, he has to like work things out to like either like build something out of these weird wires. And Boyd, he's retired military, and now he's the sheriff of this town.
Yeah.
So you know, like trapping
it
you in a
gives them
role.
like some kind of responsibility or
Yeah.
what they were comfortable with before
Yeah.
they were about to make this change.
Yeah. Because a lot of people don't know what to do when they like move on from something else.
Yeah. Oh, another thing that sort of like plays into the whole children's story aspect is that like all of the drawings are like childlike. Whenever someone makes a drawing, it's usually Victor who's drawing, but it's like very childlike drawings, very storybook-esque.
That was such a funny line when he like gave Ethan, he's this little boy, a drawing, and the little boy was like, "It's in crayon," and Victor was like, "So?" And Ethan said, "You're an asshole." Like some of the show is so funny, like it's scary, but like there are some funny scenes.
Oh, we have a theory about what the creatures actually are. So the creatures look human, but so I'm still of the mind that they're some kind of demons. Like I don't know if there's a better way to put it. Like I don't know. Like they're either dead. They're like dead beings.
They're like dead bodies that have been reanimated in some way.
Right.
Like, you know, if you're dead and then you become a vampire, except these are just dead, they sleep and then they wake up and they terrorize people at night.
Right.
Like some just new kind of creature. Or, because I thought they were like maybe the people that are dead and then buried in the town, they sink down and they rise up as something
Yeah,
else.
I was thinking something like that.
And at first we thought they were ghosts. Like when they the very first appearance we have of one is as a little girl's grandmother. Like, did her grandmother actually look like that? Or,
I mean, I would guess so, since she was like, "Grandma."
I guess. Unless she just thinks any old lady is a grandmother. Oh, another theory that I had is that Victor is one of these creatures.
Oh,
because
yeah.
for so long we didn't know where he came from. We didn't know his backstory. We still don't really know how he got there. But he's been in the town the longest. At some points I think he was there alone. And he doesn't, I know he developed without anybody else around, but his development is at a strange stage. You know, when we were watching, is it Them? That movie where, you know, the 11/11, there are some people like trapped on the ground, and, you know, it had a Lupita Nyong'o. Is that her?
Oh, yeah, Us.
Yes, Us, not them. Us. And they developed completely differently because, you know, they were living underground. So I thought Victor was maybe like that, like he's one of these creatures. But we don't really have any proof of that.
Yeah,
oh, another theory that I had that I forgot to completely mention it is that there have to be a certain amount of people in town, because when we first introduced to the town, there's like 0 incidences, and then that family dies, and then the
next
family
comes.
comes. Their van like gets trapped going through the town, and it wrecks. Our favorite scene.
All right. So when I was asked what my favorite scene was, there are a lot of good scenes, but I couldn't really pick out one that really stood out to me. But then like my mind kept going back to Father Khattri's death scene. Like he was he had a lot of plans for his life. You know, he finally found some purpose in this town to like. He was like, "I'm gonna do this to figure out why we're here."
Yeah, this girl Sarah, she'd been hearing these voices to do things. And Father Khatri, he's a religious man, and in the Bible, people hear voices all the time of God telling them to like sacrifice this or the other, or to do something. And he's like, maybe she's actually been hearing the voice of God, so we're gonna follow these steps. And
like, but something happens, and then he steps outside, and then he dies. Like one of the creature like rips his throat out, and it's just like all of a sudden he's like, what did he say? Like, it can't end like this or something like that. And you're really like, it happened all of a sudden. Like, is it really gonna end like this? And
it really ended like that.
The boy prays over him, and he's dead.
That's it.
Yeah, so that's one of the scenes that stood out to me. It was one of my favorite scenes.
One of my favorite scenes was there's this camp scene where Boyd and Sarah, the girl who hears voices, they're going on a journey. He's like, I'm going to see if there's anything else out there, see if there's an edge of this town through the woods rather than this road that just loops around. And one night they're in this tent, and all they have is the talisman keeping them safe. And then there's all these lights, and like the tent is moving, and it's like being drugged. And I was like, the scene just gave me so many thrills because it was like there's something else out there. There's like maybe other creatures, maybe they've like got caught in some kind of time warp or something. I don't know.
Oh.
It was one of my favorite scenes. Ooh.
That reminds me of one of my other theories. I forgot
We've got a lot of theories.
Yeah, like so there are these faraway trees. Like if you go into a hole in the tree, you end up some other place. I think that not only can it take you to other places, it can also like take you to a different time. But we don't have concrete evidence of that yet. But they're in the bottles that hang on the tree, that hang on one of the faraway trees. Like they're like manuscripts and stuff with like different times dated on them. And I'm like, yeah, it seems like that travels you through time.
Yep. Favorite character. My favorite character is the main character, Boyd. This guy, he's funny, he's intense, I don't know, I just love the way he says things sometimes. Like, or the way he'll look at somebody. Like, I love him as an actor. I don't know.
And like he's one of the characters who's always trying to figure out what's going on. Like some of the characters, like they seem kind of settled into where they are in the town and where they are in the town. Also, I like how he always shows up when he's needed.
Yeah, it's so strange that he's always right there when something's happening.
Yeah.
This new guy, Randall, had Donna, this lady who takes care of a lot of people, tied to a tree, and boom, Boyd showed up out of nowhere. This girl had her head pinned to a tree, and then boom, there was Boyd. And I'm just like,
I'm starting to think like he may be one of the main reasons why people are stuck here, but I don't know what that reason is.
Yeah. Or the town is doing this to keep him there. It's like pulling on his instinct of, taking care of people, being in charge, stuff like that. So he's like, things keep happening where I have to, that one of those theories that we had before, that it's like trapping you in that job that you had before, or giving you something to do. Okay.
Oh, and my favorite character is Victor. He's the one Squizzy believes is one of the creatures, or she thought was one of the creatures.
I think we have, this is Victor right here.
Yeah, he's been there since he was a kid. So like, Jade, he was like, don't you want to try to go home? And he was like, this is my home. Like,
he's been there since he was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything else. His mom died. So yeah, I really like him as like the misunderstood character. Like people really they're creeped out by him, but he's just like wandering around the town, just doing his own thing.
And he's the one who knows when things change, because he's like, all of a sudden the leaves are falling, and he's like, it's never been fall here before. In all the maybe 40 years he's been there, it's never been fall. Always spring. Vegetables are dying. Peaches that he's able to get every day are no longer available.
Yeah, and he's a resource that that people don't use enough. Like
they
he's been there his
because
whole life,
of his mental state.
And people aren't asking him like what patterns he's seen since he's been there. Like how many people have come through and died.
Like you're British.
It's only in the last couple episodes of season 2 that people are like, we should ask Victor what's going on.
He's also another person who's always there when he's needed. Like he was able to save Julia. He was able to save
the mom,
Caddy.
And the little boy.
So yeah, he's like always there when needed too. Okay, and the least favorite character,
Jim. He's so annoying.
He's such a douchebag.
Like, one of the things I hate about him is that like he never lets people talk. He always just gets angry and starts attacking people. But I'm like,
grabbing people by the collar every other minute.
Like his anger seems so out of proportion. Like he reminds me of that guy from The Shining. I'm like, he's gonna crack and like kill his family or something. Like, what?
If he hasn't already killed his family, like we don't know what's going on in this town.
And he always dismisses his wife's ideas. Like,
yeah, like she accepted his ideas, no problem. Also, he was like, I want to do this thing with Randall. He didn't ask his wife that he wanted to test out a theory, but like when she wanted to ask a theory, she went to him. She wanted his opinion, permission, and things like that. And I'm like, there's no balance in this.
Yeah, he always acts like her ideas aren't that great or like don't make much sense. And you're like, dude.
She wanted to like dig in the basement to see where the wires go, and he's like, what are you doing? I wanted to punch him in his old big ugly.
But yeah, he's so annoying.
I can't stand him for real. Okay, and a few questions that we have about this show is, why is there a divide between the town and Colony House?
Yeah, Colony House doesn't really exist anymore because, wait, what? Oh, because the storm kind of destroyed it?
No, that was it the dude who let that girl in and then she let all those
Oh
other
yeah,
guys
oh
in?
yeah, oh yeah. There was a massacre at the house because one of the guys who was living there let one of the creatures
He
in.
been flirting with a girlie.
Mhm.
And she was like, let me in. You always say that you want to be closer, but...
But yeah, there was a divide between the town and Colony House, and it seemed like the Colony House people were people who like sort of accepted living in the town. They were like, we're not really gonna try to look for a way out. This is the way life is, so we just gotta make do. And the people in the town are people who don't really like. Well, I wouldn't say the Colony House people liked being there, but like they were more
Resigned.
at an accepted stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people in the town are the ones who run like the bar, the diner, and things like that. But yeah, I just wonder why there's a divide.
Yeah.
Another question we have is why can't people just say things?
Right.
It'd be like, listen to me. Listen.
So
They're like, just say it. Stop saying listen.
And like, if something strange happens, they try to hide it. Why? Maybe you can help figure out like what's going
Compare
on.
notes.
Like the guy, what's the deputy's name? He had a dream. Yeah, Kenny had a dream where like something from the dream actually hurt him. And when Boyd asked him what was on his, what scar that was on his skin, he was like, oh, it's nothing.
I'm like, and then what's his face? Boyd, he didn't offer the information that a boy had just had a dream where he woke up and something real had happened to
Or
him.
that he had worms crawling under his skin until it was like really late in the game.
Exactly. Exactly. Ridiculous. Okay, another question that we have is, why do people think others are crazy? It's a crazy town.
Right.
Like this girl was like, I hear voices, and I'm like, I'd be like, understandable.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, that's not one of the crazier things I've heard. That
Yeah,
makes
they've got
sense.
creatures coming out at night, but they're like, oh, she's hearing voices?
Right.
It's suspicious, weird.
And they were looking at Boyd crazy when he did say he had worms under his skin. Like, he did sound kind of crazy, but but I would have kept looking just to make sure, because maybe
It was a tower.
you never know what's going on.
But the strange thing about the worms, the person that he got it from, he was what, Semper Fi? Who says that? What was it?
What kind of milk? Marine.
Marine, yeah. Are they going to say Semper Fi? Did he say that before he died?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a Marine, and Boyd himself is an ex-military man. So, like, is this his imagination thing? Like, I'm still like,
Yeah,
like,
he
how
also-
did he just so happen to run up onto a military
He
man?
also said that thing about like how those two people who came into town on the bus, they had like together their names were the name of one of the soldiers he knew.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, is he like in some military hospital and it's like, I don't know.
Or a
That would-
military
that would be
experiment?
lame.
Like, who knows?
Yeah.
That would be lame.
A military experiment would be better than like him
Mhm.
being like in some coma or whatever.
But then the show does spend a lot of time on Victor, so it can't just be a boy
Right.
Boyd. So who knows? Okay. And another thing, why don't people ask more questions? Like, a lot of people are resigned, or they get mad when somebody asks questions. Like, even if you're resigned, why are you mad that somebody
Right.
else is trying to figure out how to get out of here? You don't have to leave if you don't want to.
Right. I can see Donna's point about like how having hope just like hurts people over and over again.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
I'd rather just like accept that this is gonna be my life from now on than like keep getting my hopes up and then like
Having
feeling like
regrets.
killing myself after it doesn't work.
But then again, like, living in this town
True. Like,
might be. Ooh, people like threatening people with like guns in head, and I'm like, shoot me so a creature
Right.
doesn't like tear me to pieces.
right.
But yeah,
Oh, okay. And now we're gonna talk about one of the problems we have with the show, or what?
yes, problems that we have with the show.
All right. So one of the problems I have is that like we keep getting more questions and more questions and more questions, but nothing has been answered yet.
And I'm so scared the show is going to be canceled before things are answered. Like, I really hope that the writers know where they're going.
Right.
So
Like, it makes me wonder, do you have a plan, or are you just
writing
Writing
things in
things.
to keep the show going.
right?
Like, it felt like they were doing, I don't know if a lot of people know Pretender
Oh.
or Lost. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. No.
Did you feel like Lost was meandering?
Yeah, I think they admitted it, the writers, that they didn't really have a plan. They were just like, this would be cool, and then like they sort of like tacked on an ending.
I hope
I
that
really
doesn't
ho-
happen
yeah,
with the
I
show
really
because I'm
hope
really
that's
enjoying
not
it
this
right
show.
now. Okay. And final question, where do we think the show is going before we start season 3?
All right. So at the end of season 2, Tabitha is pushed out of a window.
Yeah, she's a mother character. She had lost one of her kids, and one of the things that she sees in this town is little children that are running around saying "and gooey." I think I have like
Cooey, and
cooey, one of these things. And she's like, at first they were terrifying me, but what if they're asking for help? So she's like, let me go on this journey. Let me rescue them from this tower. It was one of the last things that Victor's mom was going to do. So she's climbing the steps of the tower. And then she meets the little boy in white. He's been helping people since like the first episode. And he Sparta kicks her out of the top of the tower. God, I hope my foot wasn't in the shot. But yeah, he pushes her out of the tower.
And then she wakes up and it looks like she's in the real world. And I have quotations for the real world because I'm thinking, like, how do we even know that's the real world? So one of my theories right before, like, around the second to last episode, I was like, what if when you die in the town, you actually get back to the real world? And so this sort of lends to my theory being somewhat right, because Tabitha does wake up in the hospital in the real world, and the doctor says she was found on a trail in the woods. So it's possible that if you die in the town, you wake up in the real world. But I think one of my prediction is that, like, the twist is gonna be, how do we know which one is the real world? Like, this strange town might be the original, the world.
Yeah, also, and if it's the case that if you die and you wake up in the real world, wouldn't there be like reports of, God, why do we keep finding people? But they might pop up in different locations,
Right.
and then like other people wouldn't be suspicious because they might just like
In
spring back
different
up.
locations in different ways, maybe.
Yeah, like person who arrived from New York, because like you can enter this town loop from any point on a map. And so if you wake back up somewhere else, nobody is going to compare notes and say, gosh, people have been popping up confused for years from like this location. You're not going to be able to pinpoint it. Okay, and where I think the show's going, I'm just confused. I hope they have a conclusion. I hope they have a thread. But yeah, like so far we've got like 5-6 different theories.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not that they're in some kind of limbo, because I feel like that's too, I don't know, I feel like that's,
Lame.
yeah.
I'm really hoping it's like maybe a storybook world, or like they're actually trapped in some kind of weird time warp, or I don't know. I really hope the creatures are real. Like, I just hope it's real and not some stupid abstract idea. Like, oh, it was all a dream. Oh, I'm actually in a crazy ward.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm actually part of some kind of military science experiment would be pretty cool.
Every time I
Maybe.
think of like possibly in a crazy ward, like I think of that Buffy episode where she was in the crazy ward, and like
And
if
then
you
you're
never know if
questioning all of the
Sunnydale is real, if
episodes.
she's a slayer, you're like, oh my God, what if she's just in an asylum being crazy? But it's also like, oh well, like if she is, like, that's her reality. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But
All
anyway.
right, that's all we have for now. The season 3 starts on the 22nd, so I'm excited. And
Yeah, we may try to react and review to some of those. We don't know yet, but yeah.
bye.
Bye.